Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake. What a nice thing to be with you on a Sunday. I wanted to come and report some of the high strangeness that I've noticed and that I've been party to. All part of eclipse season and the Lion's Gate. God, the Lion's Gate is always a scrambler, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward very much for August 11th. I'm really looking forward to the third of these eclipses because it's been quite a process. I know that a lot of people are feeling it, and they're not blaming it on the moon. Maybe they're blaming themselves or their loved ones or whatever, but everyone's dealing with a lot of old stuff, a lot of very primal stuff, things that, hey, whenever there's a shot of light, whenever you get a hit of light, what is darkest is going to get a lot of attention. It's going to become, you're going to become aware of it. This also happens in the body. When the body receives a big hit of light, then the areas that were once traumatized or hurt or where you've had injuries, oftentimes they'll start getting sore again. That's okay. Then you can feel your pain and go, oh, yeah, this is familiar. Wow, this is good news. And use that light, use that extra light, and attend to yourself. There's a little clue. Here comes sunshine. So I have been a little bit reluctant to come because, well, there were technical issues. I was very moved to record, and in fact did. But it was during a time when I got on the computer, and there was no evidence that there had been a reset, but my operating system was different, and all of my files were wiped. All of them. My photographs, all of my writing, gone. And I wondered, well, should I take it to a, office guy and have him take a look at it? What should I do? And I kind of sat on it. It just seemed so freaking weird. And it felt so good. It was really a very odd feeling for someone who has written as much as I have. And everything I've stored is on this computer. Well, the first 2 years are on a different computer hard drive. Just sitting there, gathering dust. But yeah, every original I've ever written, all my correspondence, everything was wiped. Yikes. And then days passed. I turned on the computer and everything was there. My old wallpaper, all my photographs, everything. Go figure. I was right, during the eclipse thing. And whoa, boy, did I learn a lesson. I learned many lessons on the eclipse. My, oh my, oh my. That broke things wide open for me. It was really good. And it was sort of, it was a throwdown. We were going to finally have it out. Me and the shadow. We were finally going to come to terms with one another. And we have. And so that's why I want to come, because I like the times when I am unable to speak. I know when I'm in process. I know when things are moving, but they are moving. That's not the time to talk about them. That only weakens the energy. It only splays the energy. So when I'm moving, when I can see my life literally moving and changing every day, when there's a period of high growth, I'm quiet and respectful of that growth by allowing it to grow in accordance to, my mindfulness, without adding anyone else's input. So, anyhow, these eclipses are a big deal. And the eclipse was a time for me to figure out what I was going to do moving forward. The day after the eclipse, I found myself on a park bench in high meditation and asking for help. and I was visited. And what occurred, I can't talk about. I don't want to talk about. But I can say that this merge kind of thing, it was taken to another level. And I have peace in a new way that I really wasn't ever even available, let alone sustainable, before that. And I had reached the end of many energetic roads by that little meeting. So I feel better now. And what I came to realize is that, if I want to have a truth, then I need to live my truth. And my truth is that I believe that everyone is capable. Everyone, given what they need, is capable of peace within. But they have to want it. They have to put down their clubs and their knives and their guns. They need to want it. And it comes from within first. And see, the thing is that when I'm applying all of this and living it, it feels like a freaking Hallmark card. I mean, the stuff is like, if you love something, set it free, la la la. There's that kind of thing. Okay, it's one thing to read it. It's another live it. It's another yet to learn from it. And it's another yet to interpret it as all your own, owning it, living it, being it. And then when you speak it, it's like, it feels like a Hallmark card. Whereas if you're just walking down a grocery store aisle, thinking about the potatoes you're going to buy, and you see a card display and you pick it up and there's a beautiful picture and then there's a beautiful sentiment within. Well, that might feel like a lightning bolt from the gods right to your heart at a time when you weren't really expecting that kind of message. But if that's what you're trying to practice or actually practicing, then saying it just seems a little ridiculous. So I'm finding that there are some reasons to hold my tongue, and I had been highly unfiltered. And I kind of felt it a requirement. And for me, it kind of was. It was breaking down a lot of patterns that needed to be broken. And sometimes messily, sometimes highly unskilled was I. But, excuse me, but I realized that a lot of my panic and a lot of the things that I was dealing with really had to do with good and bad, right and wrong. Light and dark, I guess, but for me it was good and bad. Am I a good person? I needed to know, am I a good person? Well, the thing is that if you say, yeah, I'm a good person, well then how do you justify all the shitty things you've done in your life? I found it very difficult. But I found it difficult too to say I'm a bad person with good qualities. And so for me it's moving away from that whole structure. Me and Sam were having just a tear down argument one night because I don't know, we're just like two peas in a pod but completely opposite. I mean, I have a natal sun in Pisces, he has a natal sun in Virgo. And it's just like, it's close quarters and so there are a lot of differences, and we just have trouble communicating sometimes. And one night he balled up his face and he said, "Mom, you're a good person, and you're no," he said, "we're both really good people, and we're both totally shitty people. Okay?" It's like, wow. And now it's something even more than that. There is no such thing as a good person. I don't want to ever go there. There is no such thing as a bad person. I don't ever want to go there. We're people, each with insecurities and fears and things that look like monsters to us in the deep, dark night. We each have secret ambitions and desires, which we may never share with another human being. Knowledge that would not be received well, or perhaps received very well. But what I've learned is that I used to feel like it was a gift to give my stories away, to give my knowledge away, to give my tips away. I was just, being nice, right? And it was kind of provocative in its own way. Because not everyone wants it, not everyone's ready for it, and everyone has their own strong feelings about it. So it's just normal for me to talk about fucks other people up, so I try and be quiet about it. I mean, the GP anyway. Not my kind of people, but the GP. And they've got their own problems, they've got their own issues. And it's not an us and them that I would like. But, being in that mentality of being afraid, whether I'm good or bad. If I'm doing it wrong, if I'm doing it right. Needing to please other people, needing to quiet them, needing to still them. Needing to answer to people for my behavior. Maybe that's just the woman shaman's journey. Maybe dudes don't have that. I don't know. My guess is that each of us have that, because each of us have a shadow. What do you think of that? So I'm really not. It's really cool if you are able to just focus on the light, and yet you are an earthy and like full, intact human being, and you're just in the light, and the other stuff just falls away. Well, at a certain point, it does. It's supposed to. But until then, there's shadow work, because we don't live in a world where everyone is at that place. And you might be somebody who's that maybe you go to work and there's a ton of people who are, I don't know, racist or whatever. How are you going to deal with that? What are you going to do about it? Or they pick on you or whatever. What are you going to do about it? That's all that really matters. Because they're going to keep on doing what they're going to do. You've got some feedback. So I want to talk a little bit about my astrology and my understanding. And if that turns you off, all right, well, at 13:05, I'm going to start rambling about astrology for a little bit. I think it's pretty revolutionary. And it's not something that I discuss with anyone because no one really is interested. So if you're not interested, that's okay. I like that. So I'll jot down when I start going back into the end of the high strangeness. Okay, hold on. I want coffee. Because I do want to talk about what's going on in the group consciousness as well as the physical body. But there's other things to talk about, and I want to talk about astrology. First, let me share my shirt with you. I know it'll be backwards, but it's still cute. Ready? Due to unfortunate circumstances, I am awake. Yeah, you could say that. It's a good way to break open the astrology gift basket. So, I am a representative, unwittingly, and without, unwittingly, to a very weird kind of astrological thing as a result of this shamanic walk I've taken. And in essence, my natal chart was always sort of a conundrum. I always thought it was kind of nasty looking and harsh, but I didn't really understand it. And then I spent some time really studying the different aspects, and holy cannoli. Holy crap. So I just look at it and I'm kind of stunned. It's like, wow, yeah, you took a lot on, girl. It was the sun and Mercury retrograde and Ketu conjunct and opposite Rahu, the North Node, and Pluto retrograde. And all that stuff was in the first house. Oh boy, you're going to have fun. And the seventh house, well, that was wrecked for certain things, then, wasn't it? What a weird. And then I had a big old honking yod where Uranus in the 12th house and the moon in the 10th would just zap and zap and zap Saturn, which was conjunct by 1 degree on Jupiter. So I was a shocker, and it was a revelation provider, and I was completely and utterly involved in relation, self and other, light and dark, identity. It just is a beautiful chart for that. And so I think that those who do know a little bit about astrology would understand the strenuous nature of such a configuration, and what the things might be that I would be dealing with with Venus and Aries. Oh, so afflicted, not conflicted. Well, certainly conflicted too, but afflicted. And my sun is exact for Deneb, and through a series of revelations, I understand that that's my home planet. I think that's very beautiful to fold that in. But I didn't want it anymore. I was done. The suffering was intense, and although much of it was self-induced, a lot of it wasn't. A lot of it was unbidden. And I was breaking karma, multi-generational karma. And that's complete. And I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. So really from about 2011 forward was a great time of change, massive change for me. And these teachers who came and talked with me about ascension and DNA activation, all kinds of stuff about the future and all that stuff, little aliens. They came to me in the 90s through a channeler, and then all that information started flooding back. And it was suddenly available again. So it was on like Donkey Kong, And it led me places that I didn't expect, but that I intended. Removed of attachments. Clear. Purposeful. Joyful. Balanced. And so I started really getting into the personalization of this astrology stuff like in 2016. And I used 2017, the eclipses, to work with my DNA and with the geometries and the natal charts. I began to see them as discs, as like Frisbee discs, as like lenses and sort of interfaces, social interfaces. And as such, they're flexible, right? They're not your curse. They're just they're your roadmap. I call the natal chart your soul selfie. Here, you curious about what you're going to be up to? Click. There you go. If you ever wonder who you are, or why you're here, or what's going on, and why everybody behaves the way they behave around you, and all that stuff, here, take a look. You don't have to. You can bumble around all you want, but I thought I'd do you a favor. Why wouldn't we? We do that all the time for ourselves, leaving ourselves little synchronicities and clues and friends and things like that. So anyway, in May of 2012 came along, and a big, huge light event happened that was undeniable and physical and all that nonsense, that had near-death experiences attached to it and all that. I thought at first that was my death day, but I since decided, well, I'll let that be my birthday. Something brand new came that day. That's faux show. So I'll make that my birthday. And at first I thought that would be in April, because a really big event happened to me in April, late April. And so initially I'd been working with that a lot. but it just never felt completely like I knew I was on the right track, and I resonated with the stuff that it was telling me. I loved it. The funny thing is that then when I went to May 25 and plugged in that, and it was at 12:12, the same numbers are there, the same, but better aspected. Everything is better aspected. And it informs this particular horoscope, or natal chart, from May 25 of 2012, explains to me why. Just like when I began to really, really delve into the transpersonal quantum astrology, regarding my old natal chart, I finally understood things. I finally could see things more compassionately and release them and not worry about them anymore. And everything kind of came into focus, and I just felt so much better. And it always helps me to remember every single person has a different configuration. They have different reasons for what they're doing. And that is what's been coming through again and again. This is not about good and bad. It's not about getting it right or getting it wrong. It's not about being kind or being unkind even. Although obviously goes without saying. All right? But there are times when, things happen. There's such a thing as unskilled behavior. There's such a thing as going over the line. There's such a thing as overreacting. And you think that it hasn't been happening during the eclipse season? Come on. So, all right, now 2202. Now we're back to regular programming. So the changes I'm seeing are really very quieting. And I'm finding that what I'm creating, I feel naturally very protective toward and of. That doesn't mean I'm defensive. It doesn't mean I'm warring. But it means I'm protective. And so that helps me to put some things in perspective. And I'm glad that what I am protecting is what is, it feeds me food that makes my bones grow denser and makes my blood feel purer and makes my mind clearer and makes me happy. I am not protecting a true or imagined illness inside of me or bent-uppedness. Not anymore. And I used to always feel like I was hiding something that was bad in me, just unforgivable, beyond the touch of mercy. And that's just from being dealt unmercifully. So live and learn, right? There's a detachment that is very, very helpful and quite sincere, with harm to none. And sometimes it happens after a storm. Eclipses are famous for toppling things. The card that I think some people associate with eclipses is the tower in the tarot deck, where a big stone castle tower is struck by lightning with a black sky, and the sovereigns are toppling out of their mid-topple, crown down, going, ah. And it just is saying, hey, what once was is no more. And that I think is a helpful perspective to have during these times, because the revelations and the changes about to come are going to be rocking us. They already are, but they're really picking up intensity. And with these celestial triggers that we're in the middle of, just expect a show and expect your reality to be rocked a little bit. What's wonderful is that when the truth is finally revealed, when it's finally spoken, when resistance is finally released, and what was long held as unforgivable or unthinkable to share is revealed, there is a death and there is a birth. And it's the death of illusion. It's the death of suffering. It's the death of insincerity. It's the death of hiding. It's the death of shame. And what's born, it has to start within you, and that is self-acceptance, self-love, self-recovery. And you know, that doesn't come easy. If you're doing your shadow work, you get to own your shit. You get to feel it. And I went through years of that. And I really do, looking back, I believe it was a life review done daily in slow motion, where I literally felt, whenever I projected anything, I felt it immediately in my own body and had that experience. It was awful, awful. And I've come face to face with my own selfishness and rage, indignation, and loneliness and all that other stuff, that shadow work. And I think it's really, really cool to meet people who haven't had it too rough, within and without. I think it's awesome. And we need a lot of those kind of people plugged in. Just, you know, in loving homes, being loved on and cherished, and then going out and loving the world. Well, hell yeah. I think that's the point, isn't it? But we're breaking from a consciousness that is really not too interested in any of that, and considers it sort of, especially in this culture, sort of unnecessary what the human spirit has to say about anything. Thus the rise of fascism. One last gasp. Oh my God. Yeah, well, the genie's out of the bottle. And although, you know, there's a general population in the youth, not every single person you meet who's young is like a walking master, for God's sake. There's a lot of people who've taken the Kool-Aid. But hearts are open in a way they haven't been open before. And everyone is allowed their flavor of Kool-Aid. Everyone's allowed their interpretations. And I think that I went from a period of being really like, I need you guys to get this. And I think that was just because I was trying to explain something. To you, maybe. To me, yeah. And now I'm living it. And so there are joys and there are experiences that I'm just protective of. Not because there's a wolf at the door, but because it has all of my attention. And it's really hard to get my attention with the other stuff that hurts and wounds and floods me with fear. It is an infection. It is a virus. That consciousness is a virus. It's a thought virus. It has physical ramifications, and it is addictive. I've been saying that again and again and again. But I've had so much experience with it now, it's just shocking to me how palpable the release of chemicals is when there is that consciousness around. And that just tells me that, you know, sure, that could be a sign of my being attached. But when it's at an innate level, then it needs to be brought up into consciousness and dealt with. so that the trigger can be removed. It can be loved into wholeness and awareness and released into some sort of common sense. Because that is, I'm talking about rage, complaint, grievance, feeling cheated, all that stuff, And that's kind of rife right now with what the hijinks going on politically and stuff. So, it's applicable, I think, to some relationships maybe, but also to us as citizens and as members of one species. So this cleave of mine, of good and bad, right and wrong, all that, is resolved, and that leads me to peace, and it leads me to enjoy what I've got going. I really enjoy the counsel I get in the morning time. I enjoy jotting down thoughts here and there. I like sort of having my life a little bit more structured. And what I really enjoy now is that the things that I have put into place, which are structured in my life, I enjoy and I do not resent. I feel now, with what I do, a lot like how I used to feel when I was a brand new nurse. And the thinking goes like this, and with this I will end. I think to myself, oh my God, this is real. I actually have skin in the game now. And I'm learning, but I'm here. I'm in the middle of it. I'm legit. And I really super approve of that. I am really, it's kind of like pride. But it's like solid, like, yes, this is correct and true for me. And I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. And that comes with a smile. I'm saying that with a smile on my face. It just doesn't matter. Howl like a monkey, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And that is my ticket out and onward. So, with that, I believe I will close. I did tell you I would talk a little bit about the physical. I find that when it gets to be linear, I really have to focus down and have to be aware. And it requires a different kind of thinking. And so being around a lot of people or in systems that are highly linear, it takes a thinking that I have to apply. It's not natural. And it never really has been. My mom and my teachers, they always gave me shit because they could never read a clock. And don't even never give me one that doesn't have numbers on the face. Oh my God. So when digital came along, I was saved finally. And there's some certain things that I just never got the memo on. And so I really have to apply myself to be at certain places at certain times and do certain things, and to find that is a pleasurable thing rather than something that makes me sad or scared or any of those things. What a relief. So I guess I'm a poster child for, hey, would you please just break down and do what you want to do for yourself? I was really a poster child for the misery that's created when you are living off a script that is long resolved. It's just more dialogue. Just like, how long is it going to go on? And there has to be some sort of resolution, so why not a big explosion? Mine was sort of like a whimper, so I guess I'll finish that way. It's 34. What's really cool in my instance is that after all of this transformation and application, basically, just application and discussion, communicating it all, I kind of have entered a place of just a different place. And I think that for people who don't know about the, the inner workings or all that stuff, or, I mean, it's not mandatory, right? No, nobody needs to know my story. But what they do know is that like 5 months ago, I had my hip replaced. And further, in society, it's well known that people of a certain age who finally get a hip replacement leap out of bed and they reclaim their lives with gusto. Well, I knew I would pretty much be crawling out of bed and then making baby steps, but I am now finally sometimes able to take the stairs up, not shuffling. And I do, climb up on mountain things. I don't rock climb, but I can hold my own. And getting stronger all the time. My endurance is not good. But luckily I have a job that allows me to sit on my can and do my job. And that's really great. So I have some really great things going on. And I share it this is the gift, really. If I share it in the GP, or if I share it, if I give a story now, what I'm realizing is that whenever I tell a story, I'm letting their energy be attached to that. Do I want that? And it used to always be, well, I'm just giving a gift away. Maybe this will make him feel better. And now I'm thinking, well, I can be a little choosy. The candy store doesn't always have to have the door wedged open. And it's not because I want to hurt anybody or disadvantage them. It's because I just don't choose to. I roll different now. I'm just different. And I think that is very valid to be able to demonstrate to a weary world who may not completely fully believe that a human being, a grown-up, could come into their own so late in life. Well, here's one. And I stand within a field of people who have done very similar things. That I have the ascension bent, well, there you go. Enjoy that. If it makes your soul go, ow, ow, oh well, turn the tape off. Otherwise, I hope it was fun. But I really don't feel that, here, I need to give this away and I'm pissed off nobody wants it anymore. I could give an F. I don't care. Just let me have my fun. Leave me alone if you're going to be mean or cruel or critical or, fixie and all that stuff. Just, I don't want to hear it. I'm set. Everything is going the way as planned. All is well. And what I don't have, I don't need. And when I need it, I'll have it. End of list. So these are things I've always known to be true. But as you've seen, very incrementally, I had to wrestle with the reality of a lot of this stuff. I wasn't going to... I had put all my eggs in the ascension basket. Always. I came here to ascend. I've been talking about that since the 90s. What does it mean? What does it look like? What are the benefits? What are the risks? What's the cost? There's no cost. To walk with my Creator and to have an intimate relationship with that essence, moment to moment, as I see fit, as I am able. That's why I showed up. To have that peace. Well, it's well earned. And it's really wonderful. And now I move on to the second act, which is that of caring about and for others as they care about and for me. I went from self and other to we. And that's a progression that very lyrically speaks for those astute in astrology, open to this kind of phenomenon. And believe me, I'm no professional. Astrology to me is much like the human body. You're never going to know all of it. Get a good foundation that's wise. Learn from the best. And apply yourself to the basics. Get it down. But then, it's time to specialize. And let those who speak to you speak. And inform you. And help you. To put things together your very own way. So for me, that's how I've dealt with astrology. I don't have a really good... I've never done like a course to just learn all of it in one sitting. But really, I'm not sure I could. I am a cumulative learner, so over time, my understanding grows and grows. And if it suits me, just fine. So anyway, I want to wrap it up. Tell you thank you for listening. I'm pleased about the time it's taken between videos. There's a lot of growth occurring, but it's I'd rather just pop in and give you the overview, because I'm just on a different kind of role now. Still deeply awake though, as I hope you are. All right. Dayla.